In this video, I'm going to show you how you can break the habit of a negative assumption. I'm going to be using the teachings from both Neville Goddard and Dr. Joe Dispenza. The idea of an assumption comes from Neville Goddard's The Law of Assumption, and that is whatever you believe to be true, whatever you give permission or consent to be true, both consciously or unconsciously, it's going to dictate your life. This reminds me of Carl Jung's quote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will dictate your life and you'll call it fate. You'll get stuck in these cycles of pain where it feels like you're powerless, you're hopeless, you're stuck. And if you're resonating with this, I know this because that's where I was too, until I learned the 3 steps that I'm going to show you later on in the video of how you can break the habit of a negative assumption. I'm going to give you practical, easy to understand application of these ideas so that you can start applying them to your life and see a change. For a long time, I felt these were just ideas, that the law of assumption didn't really work, that Dr. Joe Dispenza's teaching sounded nice, but when I tried them in my own life, they didn't work, so it must not work. But really, I wasn't understanding where or how to apply them. But my goal today in this video is to get you to be very, very clear on when and how you can apply these teachings in your own life and see the changes. For me, I broke out of painful emotional dynamics in romantic relationships, as well as a very low sense of worth. As I learned this process, it completely changed the way I saw myself and ultimately easily changed the assumptions I fundamentally have about myself. So let me now draw on the board why assumptions are so critical to change and why they may be affecting you even at the unconscious level. Now, no matter what you've been through in your life, you had a series of different experiences, specifically from the ages of birth to about 7 years old, because our brainwave is alpha, which is actually the language of the subconscious. So basically, we're little tiny sponges as kids. So we're looking at how people are treating us. We're looking at how other people are interacting, and we're taking it as, okay, this is how I navigate life. This is how I get my needs met, or why those other people aren't meeting my needs. We're not doing this. We're not aware of this. These are experiences. We're putting meanings and stories as to why it's happening, right? So we have these past experiences, then the stories and meanings as to why it happened. And so this right here, these snapshots, they're assumptions, both we're aware of and we're not aware of, because our body can actually store memories and have assumptions. We call that implicit memory. It doesn't need our conscious awareness to take these snapshots of assumptions. Now, you can change all of this. This is not a doomsday. This is just a way for you to wrap your head around what's happening so we can get some more reason and logic to break out of the habit of these, because they're not the truths of you. They're simply past experiences, and then they just keep repeating, because these assumptions, they're the lenses of how we see our reality. That's what this line represents right here. So we can't see reality as it is, even though quantum physics shows that every possible reality of you exists right now in the wave potential. Now, just like radio waves, we can't see them, but they exist. And experiments like the double slit experiment shows us that when we observe a certain reality, we collapse the potential wave into particle form, meaning that we can see it, feel it, and experience it with our senses. But if you have these assumptions, such as, I'm not enough, you see, that's the lens of what you're allowed to see, because we have 10 to 50 million pieces of information coming through our subconscious. But our subconscious is going to say, no. This is the program I'm running. This is the set of assumptions. Remember, you can change these, which is what we're going to do in part 3. But this is what you're looking through right now. So you can't see the love that would echo that you are enough or that you're worthy. You can only find, oh, there it is. There's that person who is treating me a certain way and I don't feel enough. Okay, now I'm going to chase them. I'm going to get stuck here and I'm just going to keep looping. Or maybe for you, it's about money. I don't feel important. I'm not worthy. Oh, there's that job that keeps demanding of me and maybe wants to take more from me, and they don't pay me very much. They don't value me. You can't see the abundance. You can't see the love that exists for you and is there for you because your lenses of perception, your mind, which is a function of your brain, your physical brain, your mind is the program. Your mind holds all the assumptions. Dr. Joe Dispenza says how you think, how you feel. So thoughts are the electrical. Oh, look, here's this person. I'm not good enough. And the feeling is the magnetic part, which Neville Goddard say is the actual secret, right? That's our body, which we're going to magnetize to. And then ultimately how you act, which is a natural expression of thinking and feeling, it just keeps you looped. And it keeps you in the law of assumption. Whatever you assume, conscious and unconscious, it's going to dictate your life. And you're going to think it's your fate. You're going to think it's the truth of yourself. Because how in the world would it not be when you keep repeating? But can you start to see that it's the lenses of what you're seeing? You can't see everything, but when we change the assumptions, you start to be able to change the lenses of what you have access to. When you start looking and seeing yourself differently, what you see and what you can perceive of in the world will change. So this is absolutely crucial for you to step towards the life of abundance, life of love, the life that you really want. And so often where people make a mistake is they think of the love, but energetically they're still being, they're still feeling and acting from the negative assumptions. And they think this is a whole bunch of shit. This doesn't work. This is just some guy talking about things, both Dr. Joe and Neville Goddard and tons of other teachers. It doesn't work for me because it's a mental thing. And it's okay if you feel that way. You haven't understood it at the depth necessary to create sustainable change, which is at the subconscious realm, meaning that you don't have to run around in a firm for 50 hours a week so that you can feel okay. Once you make the changes at the level necessary, it's going to be your automatic program. So it's going to just be a natural expression of you. But let me now show you how to break this habit when it's been all you've ever experienced. If this video is resonating and you want some help in your own specific situation, I am still available for one-on-one sessions. We'll sit down over Zoom and I will help you get deeper into your awareness so that you can understand how and when to apply this in your own life. I've already worked with so many different people who have had tremendous breakthroughs so they can create the liberation in their life that they deserve, and you do too. I'd love to help you. So if this resonates, there is a form below. Fill that out and I will email you. So step one is going to be in the moment. Now, the reason, in my opinion, this is the most crucial is because this is going to start actually dissolving that old circuitry of neurons in your brain. If you fire and wire in the same old way, the same assumptions, it's going to be easier and easier for you to continue those assumptions. But when you step out of it, it's going to stop firing and stop wiring, meaning that it's going to, just the same as if it was a pathway in a forest and it gets overgrown, it's going to be harder to find, which is a good thing because we want to forget who we once were. We want to break the habit of being ourself when really that self is just a learned set of behaviors to try to get your needs met, but now they're outdated. So that cage that protected you is now a prison keeping you from your full expression. The world is better with you in your fullest expression. Anything or anyone who tells you different is too small for you. That doesn't make them bad or evil. It just means you're meant for something bigger. So in the moment, we're going to be going off of the assumption of not enough. So the old assumption is not enough. The new assumption is I am enough. So for me, it was always romantic situations. Maybe this person starts to get a little bit distant and our communication had been really strong, but now they're not really contacting me as much. So there's an event and it's going to cause a physiological response. For me, I started getting anxious. I started to compare myself. Oh no, maybe they're interested in that other person. What should I do? So as this event is coming up, I've got to get really clear on what meaning I'm giving this. Because if you don't watch this, it's going to go straight into that, which is going to reaffirm the past, which is going to come right back here and say, oh, the reason that they're being distant is because I'm not enough, which reminds me of that old assumption, which strengthens it because it's going to fire again and get even stronger. And those synaptic wires, And then you're going to be more likely to repeat the same story. So I suggest you start trying ABC. Okay, I'm aware my body's starting to talk to me. My body's starting to let me know that I'm afraid, that I'm not enough. Okay, I've got to start breathing. I'm not going to respond. But what about the text? But what? Oh, I'm losing myself. I'm emotionally abandoning myself. I need me right now. I think my safety, I think my happiness is in them, but I've got to realize I need to be the adult to caretake me, to consider me, to emotionally nurture myself that I didn't have, because I am enough. And that in itself is changing the story. Now realize this could also be with money. Maybe you were supposed to get a promotion. Maybe you were working really hard and your clients start to disappear. Oh no, it's because I'm not enough. Here we go again. I never have what I need. Strengthens the old assumption from the past, comes in here more likely to fire and wire even harder. Electromagnetically, you're being that old person. So what are you going to perceive? You're going to perceive disappointing situations. You're going to perceive money ghosting you. Again, it could be money, it could be a person. You've got to get aware, okay, the story I'm telling myself is that I don't have power, that my power is outside of me, that they have to choose me, and then I'll be okay. All right, what do I need here? I got to make a new choice. I'm going to go for a walk. And the reason this is so powerful is because it actually helps reduce your fear scanner. Walking, there's a nerve in your brain when your eyes are scanning so you don't fall. It pulls energy from the amygdala, which is your fear scanner. So if your fear scanner has less fuel, you'll be more likely to see things as they are. Oh, I'm okay. You know what? I'm enough. I'm not sure why they're going distant. Maybe that's something we can talk about later. I'm not sure why this is happening with money, but what can I do? Not in the triggered state. We are not looking for problem solution in the triggered state. In the triggered state, you're looking to calm your nervous system, reassure yourself, take care of yourself emotionally and physically, and continue on with a new story. So maybe it's journaling, maybe it's meditating, maybe it's calling a friend and saying, hey, I just got triggered. I need a little support here. Maybe I can share something with you. Maybe I'm going to go for my walk. Maybe I'm going to go to exercise my body and move this energy where I feel I want to tell the old story, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to tell a new story. So the first part of breaking the habit of the old assumption is to step out of the old assumption in action. This literally will stop that circuitry, stop firing and wiring, and you're actually in the action of this, you're being enough. You're saying, I care about myself because I am worthy and I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to listen to me and I'm going to understand myself more in this experience and not take the blame from what somebody else may or may not be doing. And if they are distancing because they no longer have feelings or it's not working out, well, you're giving yourself the attention and saying, okay, well, communication is important. Consistency is important. And it's not my fault as to why they're doing that. I know it's not because I'm not enough. So now let's get into step 2. So one of the huge, powerful parts about breaking the habit of an old assumption is starting to simply change your perspective of the situation that created the assumption. Now, I cannot stress enough, do not live it through your eyes. So right here, we have the adult, the caretaker in your life growing up, and then we have you, right, as a little kid. From birth to 7 years old is usually where the primary experience happens. So we don't want to relive it. I don't want you to go back and pretend you're the little kid. I want you to imagine you and I, we're going back in time. We're time traveling and we're coming in and we're seeing this situation, not through your little eyes, but through your adult eyes. So maybe in the situation for you where you felt not enough, maybe this caretaker, maybe they had a substance abuse problem and they just never paid attention to you. Maybe they yelled at you when they were taking their substance, whatever it was. So you could feel this person knows better because I can't take care of myself. So I have to assume that this person knows better. So they have the power. So when they treat you poorly, when they don't give you what you need and deserve, you could think, oh, that's because I'm not enough. So you take that blame because you have to assume that this person has the competency Even if emotionally they're immature, they don't have the space, you will take the blame. You'll tell the story, it's because I'm not enough. Maybe you had a really loving caretaker. Maybe they were so busy, they wanted you to have the life they didn't have, but they were so consumed with work, they never had time for you. And when they were around, they were so tired that they were triggered by any kind of asking for connection. So you go up and your dad or mom's home, they're on the couch, resting, you're like, hey, look what I made. And they're like, oh, I need a break. Not right now. And you could think, oh, something's wrong with me. I'm not enough. If I was enough, they would want to connect with me. Okay. So these are just giving you some ideas. Now, can you see this situation through your adult eyes that that's not what you lacked? There's nothing that you could have done differently that would have magically given this person the emotional capacity, the emotional maturity to meet your needs. The one that lacked in this situation was the adult, not you. But since you had your mind not fully developed, none of us are, you had to put a meaning as to why and what is happening, and you took the blame. But if you can start seeing it with your adult mind here and say, wow, I was always deserving. I was enough. This person didn't have the space. That doesn't mean they're a horrible person. We're not blaming or shaming them, but we're standing up for you and saying, I deserved better. I was enough. I didn't do anything to deserve it. There's nothing I could have done more that would have changed this person. And there can be a lot of mourning. There could be anger. That's okay. But as you process this, you now start getting the copyrights to your self-image. You can shift the idea that happened because you weren't enough and realize I was always enough. This creates tremendous space for new assumptions, and it also starts to dissolve the glue that had been holding that old assumption together. So now let's get into step 3. All right, so the last step for you, now that we've started to step out of the assumption and break that habit in the moment. Then we've started to dissolve the glue that was holding the old assumption together. Now we're going to practice new assumptions. Now, this is just like anything else. At first, this is going to feel uncomfortable. That is not an indication that it's untrue about you. It's just like if you learned a new sport. If you're a dancer and you did a new move, you learned a new lift. It's going to feel a little awkward. And that's part of you stepping into the unknown. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you have to step into the unknown. This would be another way to say evolving your consciousness, your awareness of yourself. Neville Goddard says, don't change the mirror to change the outside world. Change yourself. When you change yourself, you will change the reflection you see in the mirror, which is your reality. So if you were enough, if you had the fundamental assumption that you're enough, what emotions would that? What kind of feelings would you have? Oh, maybe I feel whole and complete. I feel enough. I have the right to take up space. I have the right to have a need. I deserve that. Maybe I'd feel more at peace. Maybe I'd feel more at ease. Maybe it would give me a sense of confidence. But you've got to start working backwards how that assumption is going to relate to your life. How would you move through the world if you felt peaceful, if you felt more confident, if you felt whole and complete? What kind of actions would you take? What kind of feelings, what kind of thoughts would you have? This is using your imagination to start constructing that new assumption so that you can now replace the old space with this new beautiful truth of yourself, not because we're making it up, not because it's just lives in imagination, but you're starting to embody it, feeling it at the cellular level, thinking of it, and then acting in the world in that new way. This is you being in the state of the wish fulfilled. The attachment to the outside and that being your source of happiness is because you attach a certain level of experience emotionally. If you can get to you, that will make everything so much easier. You deserve this, and you are worth these changes and taking this action to create the changes that you seek. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more help on how you can shift your self-concept, I made this video right here to help give you more specific details on exactly how you can do that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm grateful to have you here. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, like the video. It really helps. I love y'all, and I will see you on the next one.